Hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about significant figures. To be able to understand the significant figures, you need to know how to count the number of significant figures in any given number. So I'll give a couple examples for today. So you have this number and this number and this example as well. How many significant figures in each? So if we look at the first one, we can just count 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 significant figures. And what about the second? Are we going to count these zeros? No. This is called the leading zeros. So in the leading zeros, we don't count them. So how many numbers are? 5 and 2. So it's 2 significant figures. And what about this? 1, 2. Are we going to count this? No. So we're counting this only, which is going to be 2 significant figures. So this is the rules for counting. You don't count the leading zeros, which is in this example, and in a scientific notation, something like that, we will count the 1.2. For this example, it's going to be just 2 significant figures, and that's it. Now, let's use the significant figures to know how to solve addition, subtraction, division, or multiplication. So, for addition and subtraction, and multiplication and division. In addition and subtraction, we use the least number of decimals in one of the numbers involved in the question. In multiplication, we use the least number of significant figures. So in multiplication and division, we look at the least number of significant figures, and the answer will follow that. In addition and subtraction, we will look at the least number of decimals. And the answer will follow that. And I'll take a couple examples. So let's look at the first one. This is a multiplication. So as we just said earlier, we will follow what? The least number of significant figures. So let's count the significant figures in each. So in the first one, in the first number, how many significant figures? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4 sig figs. And what about this one? This is a leading zero. We don't count that. So we'll count this and that, which is 2 significant figures. So the answer should follow which one? The 4 or 2 significant figures should follow the least number, which is, this is the least number of significant figures. And that's should be number of significant figures in the answer. So if we did this, a multiplication, we should get the answer as 0.55756. So to put this answer in the correct number of significant figures, as we said, it's going to be 2 significant figures. So 1, 2. Are we just going to use the 5 as is? No, because we have 7 in here. So that will make the 5 go to 6, right? So 0.56. So that will be the correct answer. It's 2 significant figures, and that follows the least number of significant figures in these 2 numbers. Why? Because this is a multiplication. And we follow the same if it's a division. So let's do the next example. This is addition. So we just said earlier, addition and subtraction, we follow the least number of decimals, right? So how many decimals in here? 1, 2, 3. So this is 3 decimals. And what about this? 1, 2. This is 2 decimals. So we will follow what? We'll follow the 2 decimals. So what's the answer for this? It's 1.582. Okay, and if we follow the 2 decimals, so we're just going to use the 5 and the 8 as decimals, and of course the 1, right? So it's 1.58, and we're not going to put the 2 because we just need the answer as 2 decimals, right? Following the least number of decimals, which is this, as we did In the multiplication, in the previous question, we followed the least number of significant figures, right? That's the difference. So this is sig figs, and this is decimals. What about if we have a question that has both multiplication or division and addition or subtraction? So in this example, I need to multiply these two first, and then subtract these numbers from the 8.02, and I'll follow the same technique. So multiplication, we will do what? We will follow the least number of significant figures. So let's count the significant figures. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a 4 significant figures. And in this one, we don't count the leading zeros, we count this, so it's a 2 significant figures. So the answer for this part only should has what? 2 significant figures. So let's do the multiplication, and we will see the multiplication of this will give me sorry, it's 8.162 minus, I will use the same number as this. All right, I didn't do the subtraction yet. So now the answer of this, it's 8.162, but we just said we will use 2 significant figures, right? So I will use these 2 numbers only, the 8.1. That's 2 significant figures. I will just include this number in the calculation, right? But in the answer, I will follow the number of decimals or significant figures from this number. So I will consider this as 2 significant figures only. But let's do the subtraction. In this case, the answer should be 0.142. Yeah. How many sig figs in the answer? This one has 3 sig figs, right? And this one has 2 sig figs. Since we just did the multiplication and it comes from this and it has 2 sig figs, so this follows the 2 sig figs, the least number of sig figs. How many decimals? This one has 3 decimals. This one has 2 decimals. So this is subtraction. So we will follow what? We will follow the least number of decimals. So the least number of decimal is the 2. So that means I will use the answer as 0.14. This is 2 decimals. And that would be the answer. And that's it for significant figures. That's it. Thank you so much for listening for my channel, and please subscribe, like, leave a comment if you want, and I'll be more than happy to answer any question if you guys have any. Thank you so much.